And then my intention for this experience is to display how our own daily practices don't have to be long or complicated to have big impact on how we feel and also kind of balancing the systems of our body. Something that's very easy to do that I cannot model for you now is if we can take the time, even for just a short walk soon after the sun rises and just before the sun sets. One of my favorite, I guess, teachers, he's a scientist from Stanford. His name is Andrew Huberman. He always talks about the importance of making sure that we get natural light first thing and then last thing before the sun sets. And he also talks about the importance of some constructive rest throughout the week that is not sleep. So in this experience, I will be guiding you through the relaxation technique known as Yoga Nidra. I also plan to spend the first part of this workshop showing you short practices that you could use by stealing just a few minutes away from your day if you feel like you need a refresher, if you just like to connect with the present moment. And really, all of these practices, that's what they give us. They give us the opportunity to cultivate deep presence. And that in itself is taught to be very healing and refreshing. So we'll go through a few of those, some movement, some breath, some meditation. Then we'll move a little bit more dynamically in a way that is quite easy to do for a home practice. We'll think about how to get inspired for our home practice, and I'll model some of the ways that I inspire my own. And then we will do a little bit more movement near to the end, something else that could be cut out on its own as another practice. And then we will have relaxation. So there's quite a few things that I'd like to get to, beginning with some ways to become present, because really just taking 2 to 5 minute intervals throughout the day and allowing ourselves a few conscious breaths and just to do what we are doing on purpose with acceptance, that in itself is a practice. Going for that walk without a phone or without any distraction, having your morning coffee and just have that morning coffee, just experiencing the taste of it and the smell of it and your surroundings, that in itself can be a practice. So eventually we're really threading these micro practices throughout our entire day and our entire lives. So our entire lives becomes our sadhana, or our committed spiritual practice. So let's start with some ways that we can become present. I invite you to sit with palms up. You certainly don't have to be sitting in any formal way when you're practicing this off of the mat. You could be at the dinner table, you could be at the breakfast table, you could be on a walk, on a couch, lying in bed, and you can connect with deepening breath. So in through the nose and out of the nose. Nose breathing is helpful when it comes to nervous system regulation. Let's do that a couple more times. As you are breathing in this way, notice that you are breathing. Notice what it feels like to take this air in, the temperature of that air, where you feel it in your body, and what it feels like to let it go. Turning your palms up at any time during your day can be a cue to become receptive, to notice this moment, to connect with the inner witness. The more that we do that, the easier it becomes to witness our own thoughts and eventually our own reactions to others. And so we are living a much more mindful, purposeful life. We can be more effective. We can be coming from that part of us that is intentional. So palms up can be a cue to tune into that receptivity. And let's first start to explore what it feels like to have a sense of touch, what it feels like to be supported by what you are sitting on, what it feels like to be wearing these pieces of clothing, where you feel that on your skin, where you feel temperature, and can you just observe that? Where you feel more sensation. Sometimes that's toe tips, soles of the feet, fingertips, palms of the hands. Notice what it feels like to be breathing right now. See if you can allow the abdomen to move as you inhale and exhale. And see if you can feel that breath in the whole body. The breath doesn't have to be controlled in any way. Just notice what it feels like to breathe. Notice what it feels like to taste. And touching into gratitude for that sense. Touching into gratitude for our favorite foods, what we enjoyed perhaps already this morning or last night. And letting ourselves just taste now without judgment. What it feels like to have a sense of smell. And as you feel cool air moving in through the nose, is one nostril more dominant than the other? That's just information. And is there a scent? And if so, can you simply observe? And acknowledging some appreciation for that sense as well. Tuning into listening. Such a great practice, whatever we're doing. Just to pause and hear. Maybe you are listening to beautiful, inspiring music at the moment, and you just let yourself observe, to really be with what you are listening to, rather than have it blend into the background. And then notice your sense of sight, first with eyes closed, if your eyes are closed. Imagine that you could just sit back so relaxed. Just witnessing and observing anything you see there. And then I invite you to blink your eyes open, and instead of looking at the screen, look around your space. Likely there are items in this space that you thought a lot about attaining. You put thought into them. They meant something to you. They mean something to you. How often do we sit in our spaces and just be in our space without doing? It's a practice in itself to allow ourselves the time, even a moment or two, to be in this space that we put a lot of effort into attaining. And to be in our space with observance, yes, witnessing, and allowing ourselves enjoyment and gratitude. Allowing ourselves the pleasure of just being. I invite you to turn your gaze within again. Breathe in deeply. And breathe out deeply. And check in. Is there any shift? How is that for a practice just on its own? How could that be incorporated within the fabric of your day? Something more purposeful, something more formal perhaps, something we can do before we even get out of bed or sitting on the edge of the bed, or something we do before we leave our bedroom is a breath practice intended for balancing. Easy. As you inhale, imagine that that breath is moving in through the nose and down the length of the spine to the base of your body. And as you softly exhale, imagine the breath is moving back up the length of your spine towards the crown of your head. Keep that up, soft, subtle breath. Anchoring the mind to the movement of breath moving in and down and up and out. In and down, and watch it. And watch the exhalation ascend the length of the spine. Now, for some of you, that may be plenty, and you may stay with the visualization of pulling the breath in and down to the root of the body and exhaling back up. I'm going to layer on some movement of prana within the body. Again, this is just a system. Doesn't mean that it's true. This is a way that we can focus the mind. It is a technique. Next time you inhale, imagine that you're inhaling the breath in and down to the navel. And at the end of the inhalation, allow the breath to swirl in a clockwise motion around the navel, and then send the breath back up and out. So in and down. At the pause at the end of the exhalation, circles the navel, and then exhale up and out. Try that. And again, for some of you, that may be plenty. Adding on, next time you inhale, inhale in and down. End of the inhale, circle the breath around the navel. And then as you exhale, imagine sending the breath up and out and then down and out. So you're almost imagining these two directions of your exhale. Inhale, in and down. End of the inhale, circle the breath, and exhale up and out and down. Just give that a try. You're only here to try. If it feels like you have to try too hard, if that feels confusing, just come back to pulling the breath in and down and up and out. The point is to focus, not to confuse. And then let that go. And I invite you to feel the space around your body, almost as if there's a flow moving around your body in any direction that just comes easily to you. Just imagine there's a flow circling your whole body. Breath is really soft now. And start to notice how this is feeling. How does a very mindful breath practice support you? All of this is just information for you, inspirations for you. Something that is a practice in itself is a rotation of the joints of the body. So free the legs out in front of you. You can certainly stay in a chair if you happen to be comfortable in a chair. And then bring your ankles together and circle those ankles so that you're also creating circles with your knees, if that's okay. If it doesn't feel good to have your ankles together, absolutely, you can part them a little bit. Just notice what feels right for you. There is a lot of evidence. I'm always teaching about warming joints and muscles before we move more dynamically, whether that's on the mat or off. But there's a lot of evidence about this circular rotation motion of the joints of our body and how that can also be regulating for the nervous system. So you're just exploring. Your breath is long and deep. Making the most of our at-home practices can also mean, taking the time to offer some gratitude to these feet right now. Let's change directions of the circles that we're making with our ankles and our knees. Allow your toes to spread, maybe curl as well. And then a little bit more of a windshield wipe, getting into the hip joints a bit more. And see if you can windshield wipe and sort of rotate at the same time. Maybe one leg at a time, adding a little rotation to the hip joint. You can deepen the breath a little bit. Sitting up tall, once again, spinal rotation, so Sufi grinds, these have been called, but just nice circles with your torso in a way that allows you to feel like you're stretching all sides of your torso. Nice morning practice also as you tone abdominal organs, really allowing yourself to feel that ringing action there. Some of the texts that I have prescribe this for getting digestion going in the morning and exhaling like you're exhaling out of a straw. So if you feel like you need that support, you can inhale through the nose and exhale out of pursed lips, nice and long. Switch directions. It's been said that a complete practice of just this kind of movement would be 3 minutes on either side, in either direction, to really energize. You can make a note of that. Good. Come back to a tall spine, big breath in. Notice how this is landing on you so far. It's all just information. And then start to roll your shoulders forward, up, and back, just to the degree that that feels good for you. All of these joint rotations need to be in a range of motion that feels comfortable for you. And let's make this a little bit bigger so that we're bringing our elbows and our wrists into the practice as well. And maybe there's some undulating of the spine, a bit of a flexion and extension, a rounding. and extending. You can see how this movement can just become inspired. And gratitude to these shoulders and arms and hands, to our spine, to our healthy spine. It's been said, healthy spine, healthy life. Okay, take a moment to feel that. Palms up. How's this supporting you? How's this working for you? Rotation of the spine now. Left hand over to right knee. Twist over to the right. And while you're there, move the ears back and then just turn the neck. Rotate the neck back and forth in a way that feels comfortable for your neck. Abdominal wall is active here, so the low back feels okay in this more steady twist. But your rotating neck. And for more stressful mornings or times when you are practicing for stress reduction and stress resilience, or if you're nervous about something, once you twist that head back, pause, and then move your gaze. So your head here is twisting towards the right. Move your eyes to the left. And just keep your eyes to the left and breathe. Relax the shoulders. And then bring your gaze back to center. Notice how that feels. Just information from the abdominal wall. Come back to center. Big breath in. Long breath out. How's that feeling? And then let's twist opposite direction. And again, just a few rounds of neck rotations. Especially after a night's sleep. Our neck can often feel stiff and uncomfortable. This can really make a difference. Allowing ourselves to even simply free the neck and the shoulders at the edge of the bed in the morning. That in itself is a practice. Okay, stress resilience, preparing for big conversation, big meeting, just something that's making you nervous perhaps. Turn the head and then gaze in the opposite direction. If that felt okay for you on the other side. And breathe. Gaze back to center. Firm the abdominal wall. Unwind. A big breath in. And a long breath out. That in itself, that joint rotation practice, how would that be as a practice on its own? Later on in this workshop, more standalone practices being threaded together. Now we're moving into a longer opportunity for movement, for when you have longer, bigger spaces for movement. So something that can be really inspiring, whether you're going to be moving or just to inspire your day, is to reach for one of the books, maybe a book of poetry, a book that has inspired you, a song that has inspired you, and purposefully put yourself in the way of that inspiration. You might even make an ask with palms open. May I be inspired? Inspiration is very energizing, and it opens us up to the wonder and beauty of life, which is part of this full spectrum of life. So I'd like to model what I'll do often when I have time for a movement practice. The book that I pulled for this workshop is called The Endless Practice, and it's by a teacher named Mark Nepo. And the reason that I really love this book, The Endless Practice, some of you might even have this, is because he's writing about how life itself is a spiritual practice. And I just opened to a page last night when I was planning this workshop, And I felt very inspired by what I read. So I'm going to just share a few sentences with you, knowing that this is inspiring the bigger movement that we're moving into. And maybe you also find some inspiration in it right now as well. So Mark writes that we've created a culture that is emotionally out of balance. And he means that this pursuit of happiness has been taken to such an extreme that we feel entitled to happiness. And this has made the dream of happiness a refuge to which we run to avoid the rest of the human journey. Happiness is one of 1,000 feelings, or as Brene Brown says, what is it, 87? And under it, and all the other human feelings, is the depth of being alive. I want to read that again. Happiness is one of 1,000 feelings, and under it, and all the other human feelings, is the depth of being alive. Yearning for happiness and bemoaning the other 1,000 feelings can keep us from the full and integrated experience of being human. And then there's another quote here that says, "To hold nothing back means to live wholeheartedly. It's the presence required to experience oneness," or this quality that yoga would talk about, which is connecting with the more expansive side of who we are, which we can come to through presence. He writes, "In such moments, we stumble through the bottom of our pain into the enormity of life." So this page is really all about the sweetness and the ache of life, and how when we are brave enough to be able to feel all of it, the bottom of all of those emotions, how we are truly living and feeling alive in its entirety. And maybe not in the way that we've been taught, that to experience a good life is to be happy, but this idea that to really experience life is to experience the sweet and the bitter. So I'm inspired to use this next movement, which I'm going to take us through a variety of sun salutations here, which is a wonderful home practice because it really gets us into this rhythmic flow. It blends meditation with our movement. And the intention that I'd like to offer is to be fully present with your breath, to move with breath, to move slowly, to be fully present with your body's connection with the floor, with the air, with your clothing, what it feels like to move in this way, and to make the movements work for you is as an intention to truly feel alive in this practice. Okay? So let's just sit for a moment, and whatever that reading brought up for you, you might make your own individual intention around this. And then when you're ready, let's come to a table. It might be child's pose for you to start to stretch that spine. You might feel ready for a downward facing dog. Spread those fingers wide. Root deeply into the index finger knuckles. Firm around those elbows. Bend the knees to begin. Quite a bit, perhaps, so that you can stretch your hips away from your wrists. And maybe we're walking out this downward facing dog. You could be in a child's pose right here. I'm going to be offering a lot of different modifications in the first few rounds of sun salutations. And then that's up to you to use the modifications that serve you as I continue to layer on different variations here. Find your breath. Witness your breath. Just the wonder of breathing. The wonder of how our muscles move. How one side contracts and the other one stretches. The sensations here of muscles working. Not having to make the sensations mean anything, listening to anything that feels like pain, but just noticing the sensation and marveling at the way that our body moves. And marveling at some of these postures and how they were created. And especially a sun salutation. You know, this movement, sort of this full body strengthening and stretching, moving in time with breath, it can be really beautiful, especially at this time of year. All right, let's walk our feet forward. Plant those feet with purpose, parallel perhaps. Root the feet down, strong legs. Reach the arms wide and high. Hands down through heart center. Connect with your intention. Connect with your breath. Connect with your body. Connect with this full spectrum of emotions of being alive. And let's move slowly. Let's breathe slowly. Let's stay very present. Inhale, reach those arms. Exhale, you might join your hands and bend your knees a lot to keep the spine long as you slowly bow. Inhale, lift and lengthen your spine. First time, let's come down to a table. Of course, if you've got a plank in you right now, you are in plank, but it could be table. Then walk those knees back. Keep the face and shoulders lifted. Dial strong hands away from one another and lower. Anchor the tops of the feet. Abdominal wall strong. Tent those hands, more length than lift, starting with a baby cobra. And then tuck your toes. You decide. Table, hips down for child's pose, or hips up for a downward facing dog. Now you can always choose child's pose as we continue to flow. Spending a bit of time in a table or a downward facing dog in our first few rounds. Keep that breath long, in and out of the nose. At the end of your next exhalation, firm the abdominal wall, thread in those low ribs, a walk or a big step forward, halfway rise, inhale. Exhale, bow. Press the feet down, legs really strong, arms wide and high. Embrace this brand new moment, symbolizing embracing it all, hands to the center. And in this flow, hands coming together, symbolic of holding it all, of embracing the entire spectrum, the bitter and the sweet, the ache, the happiness. Breathing it all in and being with your whole body. Let's continue. Inhale, reach. Slow, slow bow. Halfway rise, lift and lengthen. You could step to your tabletop. You could step to a plank position. Knees can come down wherever you are. Strong arms, lift face and shoulders. Use your exhalation to lower, keeping the head and shoulders lifting. Strong legs, anchoring tops of the feet, kissing shoulder blades. Lots of length here as you inhale and exhale. Will it be hips level, low, or high? Not one better or worse. This is your home practice that you are building. Be with your body. Find those connection points between hands and feet. Use that rooting down to find more spaciousness and length and that rebound. Free neck. How can you make whatever pose you find yourself in more aligned for you and your body so the breath feels easy? Pit of the belly strong, either a step or a walk. Taking turns with the feet as you're stepping forward, halfway rise when you get there. And then bow, bending your knees as much as you need to so the low back is comfortable. Feel your ground and then feel the inhale lift you back up, hands together, embracing being alive. Let's keep going. Inhale. Long, slow exhalation. Beautiful. Halfway lift. Will it be table? Will it be your plank position? Will you support yourself with knees? Keep the collarbones nice and broad, face and shoulders lifted, elbows in close, however you are lowering. Anchor the tops of the feet, legs strong, heart open, embracing, feeling, receiving, and then you decide. Hips level, down, or high. Press those hands fully down and forward. If you're in a downward facing dog, stretch the spine. Wherever you are, how can you adjust this posture so you feel that blend of steadiness and ease? Inhale, let's step or walk forward, halfway rise. Exhale, bow. Root your feet down. Inhale, lightness of the inhale, stretch your whole body high. Hands together. Adding some things on here. Inhale, reach. Beautiful. Exhale, take your time, slow forward fold. Lift and lengthen. Send the right leg back, low lunge. Hands can stay low this first variation. Hug front hip back, back hip forward. Practice zipping navel to chest. Spine is nice and long. Breathe. Either step back to your three-legged dog or step back to your downward facing dog here from that lunge. Now you are welcome to hold your dog, to hold your table, or firm the abdominal wall. Ripple forward to your version of a plank. And as you exhale, face calm, slowly lowering. Strong legs, strong core, strong muscles hugging shoulder blades towards one another. And then let's take it back. Will it be hips down or hips high? Noticing the changes that are happening with your postures, with your body, as you're starting to warm, as things are starting to perhaps feel more open is a term I could use. Either from your table or your downward facing dog, lift that right leg now. Keep hugging arms and legs towards one another and float the right foot forward. Low lunge, keeping hands down. First variation, front knee right on top of ankle, front hip back. Zip navel towards chest, shoulder blades connected. And then on our inhale, we'll step forward. Lift the torso, and our exhale will bow. Root down, rise up. Hands together, embracing and witnessing, being with the wonder of it all. Stay with your intention. Next inhale, reach the arms. Exhale, fold. Beautiful. Lift your torso halfway. Step the left leg back. Keep the hands down. Front hip back. Hug the outer hips towards one another. Firm the core. Plant those hands. Is it a three-legged tabletop here? That could be plenty. Is it your downward facing dog? Will you hold dog until you find child, or are you still flowing into the plank? Lift face, firm around those elbows, and then slowly lower. Elbows stay close. Cobras might get a little bit higher as long as abdominal wall is staying strong and tailbone long. Core stays strong as you either step it back to your dog or your table. Long exhales. Let those exhales absolutely move to their close before inviting another inhale. Either from a table or dog. Now lift the left leg. Hug legs and arms to midline and float the foot forward. Help the ankle if you need to, right underneath that knee. Staying low, maybe blocks underneath fingers. Navel lifts to chest, shoulders back, back of the neck in line with the spine. And then step forward when you inhale, halfway rise. Exhale, bow. Anchor those feet. Solid foundation. Reach. Hands to the heart. So let's pause. Let's tune in. Let's check in. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel around your body. Feel the breath in your body. How present can you be with all of those senses that we touched into? Our mindfulness in motion here. Inhale, reach your arms. Beautiful. Bend those knees and fold. Halfway rise. Right leg steps back. You might stay low. You might hug outer hips towards one another. Come on up. Hands to hip points. Zip pubic bone to navel. Really lengthen tail away from crown. Hands can stay where they are or they can reach high. Hug arms and legs to midline and then reach forward and down. Will it be that three-legged table? Will it be a downward facing dog? So starting to move with the breath. Ripple forward. Hold an inhale here. Exhale, lower. Inhale. More length than lift. Tailbone long. Exhale. Hips down or high. Couple of breaths here. Witnessing, noticing. Tether those low ribs in, firm the abdominal wall, either from your table or your dog. Right leg lifts. And help that foot forward any way you need to come into your low lunge. Staying low or as you hug, front hip back, and hug the legs towards one another. Find even frontal pelvic points. Hands can stay right there. Our arms rise. Arms and legs hug to midline. Then exhale, reach forward and down. Look forward. Inhale, step forward. Halfway lift on that inhale and exhale, bow. Root down into your feet. Feet, legs working strong, stability in order to find this freedom and flow and reach high and really feel those hands connect. Holding it all. Breathe in. Breathe all the way down to your feet. Root those feet down. Inhale, reach hands away from feet. Feel the both. And exhale, slowly bow. Halfway rise. Stay with your breath and body. Send the left leg back. Staying low, hands down or hug the outer hips towards one another and hands reach up. Draw the whole waistline back. Zip that pubic bone all the way up to the breastbone. Feel so much length And then reach forward and down. Will it be a table that you step to? Will it be a downward facing dog that you step to? Will you hold dog here or ripple forward? Now you're changing the practice to serve you so that you can continue to foster these tenets of steadiness and ease, of relaxation and action. Where can you stay most present? When you're ready from a table or a dog, left leg rises. And sneak the foot forward, help it forward best you can. Either staying low or hug the outer hips, hug the whole waistline back. Maybe we're reaching. Feel the tailbone really reach away from crown of the head. And reach forward and down. Prepare to step forward. Halfway lift as that inhale continues. And then bow. Root down to rise up. Arms wide and high. Hands together. Feel. Easy, repetitive motions. You can remember this for your home practice. Notice how the breath may be changing, may be deepening, may be brightening, may be feeling like it can move through the body. Notice the sensations of body, the sensations of hands connecting. All right, so any variation that's working for you, you can continue as I continue to add on. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Halfway rise. Step the right leg back. Come up. Or cactus arms, or interlace the hands if that feels okay. Chin back, ears back, ribs back, tailbone nice and long. Reach high, reach down. Step back. Is it your three-legged dog? Is it a three-legged table? Is it a downward facing dog? This might be where you stay. You might ripple forward and lower. That's your long exhalation, big inhalation. Your cobra could be your upward facing dog. And then take it back. Is it a child's pose now? Notice if the temperature of your body is changing, become sensitive to your body's temperature. Warming up, perspiration, it's wonderful, and we don't want to overheat. From a table or a dog, lift that right leg. And slowly float it forward. Low lunge, staying low, coming up, either reaching high, cactus arms, or an interlace, perhaps. Ribs in, zipping pubic bone to navel. Breathe big. And reach high, forward and down to step forward, to lift halfway, and exhale, bow. Feel your feet, their connection to the ground, arms high. Hands connect. Feeling alive. Inhale, reach. Take your time and fold. Stay with your body and breath. Beginning of the inhale, beginning of lifting that torso. And exhale, left leg back. Low lunge, staying low. Coming up. Cactus arms this time. Chin, ears, ribs, waistline back. Hug the outer hips towards one another. Reach forward and down. Table, three-legged table, dog. Hold dog. I have a couple more opportunities for this flow. Use your whole exhalation to lower. A beautiful inhalation. Really enjoy expanding across the chest. And your table or dog. Or child's pose here. Long breath. Longest exhales wherever you are. End of the exhalation, lift that left leg from core strength, float it forward. Cactus arms, if arms are lifting. Front ribs in, whole waistline back. And then reach forward and down. Step forward. Long exhale to bow. Gratitude here. Root down, rise up. Hands connect. This moment now. Feel the pulse of your body, the breath in your body, air on skin, temperature of body. Embrace it all, feel it all. Okay, one more full and complete round. I'm adding on one more option. You will choose the options and modifications that serve you for your sacred home practice. With breath, inhale, reach. Exhale, bow. Lift and lengthen. Right leg steps back. Either remain in your runner's lunge here, or shorten and widen. Hug the outer hips towards one another. Core is strong. You can help yourself up or press yourself up. Crescent lunge. Whole waistline's drawing back. Tailbone is long. Back leg really supporting you here. Just a beautiful posture for embracing it all. Bringing it in like you could lean back into support. Feeling the flow. Exhale, reach forward and down, table or downward facing dog. Holding downward facing dog or flowing with breath. Not needing to rush. Savoring breath and body. Feeling lengthened exhales. Right leg lifts from your table or your dog. Right foot steps forward, holding your runner's lunge or shorten and widening, rooting down. All of the muscles of the legs hug to the bones. Front hip back, whole waistline back. Reach, back leg strong. Reach forward and down. And inhale, step forward. Lift halfway, rise. And exhale, bow. Gratitude. Devotion, honoring, humility, whatever is coming for you. Root down, rise up, and hold it. Increasing our capacity for life as we cultivate presence. Last round. How much can we move with breath? How deeply can we be right here with ourselves? Inhale, reach. Exhale. Halfway rise. Left leg steps back. Will we hold our runner's lunge? Will we root down and rise up? Either arms up, cactus arms, or an interlace, as long as the head of the shoulder can still move back and you're tethering ribs in, waistline back, front hip back. We're all doing something different here. What allows you to feel more open and receptive? Front toes relax, eyes are relaxed. Good. Reach up, forward and down. Table, dog, holding a dog, maybe a flow. Right leg rises. Step it forward. Coming up if you're coming up. Either your cactus arms or the interlace. Feel your feet on the ground, front toes light and spreading, whole waistline draws back. Release, reach. Reach forward and down, and step forward. Inhale. Heart to the horizon. Exhale, bow. Make this bow work for you. What is this bow infused with in your practice? Find your stable base and rise from there. Hands together. Feel. Connecting with all the senses here. Oh, last bit of movement. Inhale, reach. Fold. Halfway lift. Left leg back, holding your runner's lunge, rooting down to rise up. Finding an expression of your arms here now that's serving you. Starting to move into a part of the practice where I really want you to sort of move from your inspiration, to move in inspired ways for your body. And eventually reaching up, down, to step back to the position that's serving you. One more flow, if we're flowing. Stay with your breath. And eventually a lift of that left leg. Last lunge, however you are lunging. Staying low or rising high. An expression of the arms that's serving your body. Draw that whole front body back. Back leg strong. Reach high. Reach forward and down. Step forward last time. Root down. Rise up. Brand new moment. Hold it. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel this ever renewing and freshening present moment. Relax the shoulders and the face. Whole body sensation. Breath sensation. Just being here. Reach your arms high. Beautiful. Bend those knees, a last fold here. Now we're coming down to the ground. I'm inviting you to be inspired. How would you like to come down to the ground? A table, another dog, one last dog. Maybe in a cobra or a locust, those prone positions, so great. But find some movements that inspire you. Maybe you want a little bit more fire. This is your practice. This is exploring with what will work for you when you have a little bit more time to really roll out a mat, maybe light a candle, and just be with your body, be with your intentions. Let's make our way up to a seat for a moment or two. Palms up. I invite you to check in. How does some rhythmic, mindful movement serve you? How does that serve body, mind, heart, spirit? However you see that. I'd like to offer now a few last movements on the floor that can by themselves be a practice, especially if your movement has been something other than a yoga practice. If you've gone cycling or for a run or for a hike or a walk or dancing, that might mean that you want a little bit of a mindful stretch. So I want to show you something that gives us a really big bang for our buck, because it's keeping with the yoga therapy model of strengthening and then stretching. So let's come down to the ground. Have your pillow or bolsters nearby. Bend the knees, ankles directly underneath the knees, and I really do encourage you to stay as present as you can with your body. Robot arms close to your body as you lengthen crown of the head away from your tailbone. Now, option number 1, bridge pose. So make sure this feels comfortable for your knees. Back of the neck is nice and long, that you're really recruiting your glutes. So the muscles all around those sits bones are strong. This is also great for your core, because I do invite you to really firm that abdominal wall as if you could narrow those hip points. Now, bridge might be great. Come on down just for a moment, because option number 2 is bridge in a figure 4. So try the right outer ankle to the left knee. Come into those robot arms close to the torso. Do everything that we just did there, making sure that you're really recruiting glutes, all of them there on both sides, and see if this feels okay for your low back to lift while in a figure 4. Still keeping our abdominal wall strong, hugging the hip points towards one another. Tailbone is really lengthening away from crown of the head. Maybe the arms are long, and maybe the hands are even holding on to the outer edges of your yoga mat. You're breathing. Keep the glutes awake. Keep them firing. And then slowly lower If you were in bridge, now come into a figure four. If you were in bridge with a figure four, you're already there, and then you're finding the hip stretch that works for you. So for some of us, just moving that right knee a little further away from the face may be enough. For some of us, we might lift the structure of our legs. That might be enough. We might hold on to that left pant leg or use a strap around the left thigh, or we might thread the right arm between the legs and find the hip stretch that serves us over on that right side. Then relax your shoulders, relax your face. And an example of being with sensation that may not be comfortable and allowing ourselves to be with that, like a literal ache, perhaps. And then from here, the intention is to move into a supine twist with the knees moving to the left. Now, give this a try. How would it work to keep the legs in this structure? Just move the hips over to the right a little bit and come into a twist, keeping that outer right ankle on the left knee. This isn't going to be great for everyone, so I'm just offering this. This is giving us a twist, if this is okay for you, and continuing the stretch in a new way to some new muscles there on that right outer hip. So you might come out of this and stack your ankles and stack your knees and stack your hips and come more into a traditional twist, knees left, right shoulder blade connected, supporting yourself with any blocks you need to. Or you might stay with this structure a little bit, even holding on to that right knee with the left hand like a kickstand. Both of your feet are still active, you're breathing. And then when you exhale, firm the abdominal wall. We're coming up, even out the hips, both feet on the ground, big breath in, long breath out. Prepare either for your traditional bridge pose one more time, or left outer ankle to right knee and coming up into a bridge pose with the structure of the legs like that. Really firming glutes, both sides, firming abdominal wall. Spine is lengthening, tailbone lengthening. Knees are feeling comfortable, feet are active, breath is big. Accomplishing a lot after a walk or a cycle here, where you're stretching those hips, but you're also firming and strengthening the back line of the body, especially when we're cycling and we're rounded forward a lot. Gently come out of that. If you were in a bridge, you can come into your figure four. If you're already in a figure four, you can find a deeper stretch for the left outer hip. Feet are active, shoulders broad. Relax your face. Gratitude for hips, perhaps. And allowing yourself to find some acceptance, as long as this isn't sharply painful, excruciating. And gently, are you keeping your legs in the same structure for the spinal twist with knees to the right? If so, come on out, just slide your hips to the left and keep that left ankle on the right knee as you bring that structure over to the right, but the left shoulder blade stays tethered. Or maybe you're coming into a spinal twist that works for you, stacking ankles, knees, and hips. Where are you able to breathe fully and completely? Imagine yourself next time you come back from a run or a hike or a dance class or a Peloton ride or a ride, to take a few minutes for this, not just because of the benefits of the stretch, but also to breathe and just be with yourself, not be doing. Use this as a time of meditation as well, gratitude for all this mobility, for being with your breath. And the next time that breath lets go, firm the abdominal wall, even out the hips, come on up. Receive that breath in and out. Receive sensations of the whole body. And a practice in itself is a supported bridge. It's helpful in the morning for digestion. It's helpful at any time of the day as a gentle inversion to strengthen the heart and calm the mind. Also, it stretches hip flexors, which we are often contracting when seated, especially if we allow our legs to be long. So whatever you're using as a support for lifting the pelvis, let it be low enough down so you feel like you're giving the low back a bit of a stretch. And as we find this position, we come back to directional breath. Inhale through the nose and draw that breath all the way down to the feet. And then send the exhale from the feet back to the crown of the head. Sweeping and smoothing. An area of focus for the mind. Notice how your body is feeling here before we move into a Yoga Nidra practice to close. Notice how your body is feeling. Notice how the practices that we've explored have landed on you, supported you, nourished you, inspired you. And then when you're ready, you can press into your feet. And if you haven't removed the support from your pelvis yet, you can move it down so it ends up supporting you behind your knees if you like that support for your low back. And move slowly while you're creating your nest, because when we lower our hips from a supported bridge, there can be like a real whoosh of relaxation that I invite you to hold and take into your Yoga Nidra. So if you're moving for blankets and pillows and nest building, move slowly. If you've been listening to music with lyrics, maybe let yourself have quiet now or very low instrumental, something that doesn't call to the mind. This kind of productive rest is recommended 3 to 7 times a week. I admit I have always great intentions to practice a yoga nidra, and I admit that when I have that free 20 minutes, I will fill it with other things, but I'm very, very intentional about changing that. I know the benefits of deep rest that is not sleep in the middle of the day or as a transition point in your day. So the practice that I will teach now, this yoga nidra, is intended to be rejuvenating in nature and intended to connect us to the more expansive part of being human, or connect us to our hearts, if you will. As always, it begins in a comfortable posture of Shavasana. And it begins with connecting with physical body, this part of us that is always present. Take a deep breath in and make fists with hands and feet. And hold that inhale for a beat. And then exhale, let hands and feet go. Feet fall away from one another, palms face up. And notice the sensations that you just created in toes and soles and fingertips and palms. Feel both feet and both hands at the same time. Feel both feet and both hands at the same time, and feel the heels and the backs of the hands sink into the ground. Feel the bones of the legs and the bones of the arms sink to the ground. And feel the back of the head sink into the ground as you feel the sensations of the face, and smooth the eyelids and make space between eyebrows. Soften cheeks and lips. And float tongue to the upper palate so jaw relaxes. Feel your whole body settle. Feel the back and the front of the body at the same time. Feel the back and the front of the body at the same time. Feel below the feet and above the head at the same time. Feel below the feet and above the head at the same time. Bring your awareness to your right hand. Witnessing and observing right hand sensation. Right arm sensation. Right collarbone sensation. Right side waist sensation. right hip, right leg, right foot, whole right side of the body sensation. Right side of the body sensation, from right shoulder tip to right toe tip. Right side of the body sensation. Left hand. All the aliveness of left hand. Left arm. Full left arm sensation. Left collarbone. Left side waist. Left hip. Left leg. Left foot. Whole left side of the body sensation. Left side of the body sensation. Chin. The connection point of two lips. The place between the eyebrows. The place between the eyebrows. The whole face. The whole head. The whole body. The flow in the body. The body breathing. Soft inhales rising. Soft exhales. Body sinks. Inhales sweep down to feet. Exhales rise up to crown of head. Inhales sweep down to feet. Exhales stream back up to crown of head. Watch the breath sweep in and down. And exhale back up. See if you can feel the roll of that breath. As it slowly pulls down the length of the body. as it enters the body and slowly slides and flows back up. The next time the exhale flows back up from the feet, land the exhale in your awareness at the center of your chest. Imagine your breath now streaming from this symbolic heart center up towards a bright blue sky. And imagine the exhale moving back down from that bright blue sky, moving through the back of the heart into earth. Inhale, imagine a stream streaming into a bright blue sky above, and exhale back down through the back of the heart into earth below. Just visualizing. Inhale, rise the awareness into imagined bright blue sky. And exhale, stream the breath back through the heart, the back of the heart, into earth below. Next time you exhale, the awareness lands at the heart. Keep the awareness at the heart. Keep the awareness at this symbolic, spiritual heart and deepen your breath. Awareness stays at the heart. Wiggle fingers and toes and slowly move back into a rotation of ankles and wrists. Bend the knees a little bit more, bend the elbows a little bit more, and move into a gentle rotation and back and forth of knees and elbows. And gently roll over to one side. And I invite you to pause. As you lie on your side, I invite you to pause, rest your head on your arm, eyes closed if that's okay. Let yourself create an intention. How do your practices, your productive rest, bolster you? How will they support you today? What will they support you in being? And visualize those answers, just letting your intentions be infused into the day ahead before you get there. When you're ready, press into your hands. Let's come up to a comfortable seat. gaze close to you, eyes closed. Any practice that is threaded through our day can be closed with just a breath, with presence, with a bit of stillness. And a practice in itself is how I'd like to close this experience. And that is offering blessings. Just taking a moment or two and letting the faces of loved ones come to mind. And offering prayers and blessings for them, to them. May they be safe and healthy and happy, and may they know peace. And this can be a first thing in the morning practice, a last thing at night practice. And after you've brought loved ones to mind and sent your wishes to them, bow the head, hands to heart. May I be safe, may I be healthy. May I be happy, yes, but may I be able to hold it all and stay connected to the deep peace available within. Thank you so much. I hope that was helpful for inspiring and reigniting your practices.